Hi, welcome to Galloway Lights Live. We're in the bee yard. It was in the 40s today, I believe. And there you go. So there's one of the beehives. There you go. So we had some pretty good weather last week. It was 50s and 60s. I proceeded to take off all the fondant on most of the hives, all but maybe two. Uh, Maybe three or four. Some of them I left the fondant on, and most of them I took the fondant off. It was a homemade fondant, sugar water mixed and boiled down to about 140 degrees. It becomes like a putty, and the bees enjoyed it a lot more than my camp method, which was basically sugar sprinkled on top of like paper or on top of the inner cover. For some reason, my bees, because they're so small, they're only about the size of maybe a grapefruit in a cluster, and they just didn't have the energy to break cluster and get up above an inner cover, and they stopped losing bees during the winter months. As long as I kept fond to where the pieces down in between the frames, because my bees were right up to the top of the frames. Some of these had honey. So right now, the ones I have no fond have a very weak sugar wall. The wall is basically 1 gallon for every 4 pounds of sugar, and these bees seem to be able to get up to the sugar water and past the inner cover where the sugar water is sitting on the inner cover through a little hole. Now, just today I was in the hives, and I'd say, like I said, it's probably in the 40s during the daytime. The sun's shining. Nobody's flying out, and they're staying in a little cluster. They're moving around. They're not frozen, but they're not getting up past the inner cover to the sugar water like the rest of them are. So what I did is I took the inner cover and moved it on top of there's like a 2-inch wide inner shim, feeder shim. I put it on top of that, and so the sugar water could be in a wraparound feeder right on top of the frames, and I put the hole wherever they were, right on top of the cluster. So it might not be right dead center of the box. It might be off to one side or one corner. Wherever the cluster was, that's where I put it, to try and encourage them to be able to get past that. It's like a 2-inch funnel that they have to crawl up and then back down and into the sugar water. So I'm going to give that a shot, see if I can get these smaller colonies to start going. Now, the few that I have checked do have brood in those small clusters. And when I'm saying brood, I'm talking maybe the size of, I don't know, what would you call that? Like a cupcake size cluster of brood, maybe 2 frames of it at the max. So it's not a whole lot, but at least they are giving signs of trying to do something. Um, so anyway, that's where I'm at the moment. And I do not see the chat. Welcome to live. Remember to, okay, is there any way to see chatting on this thing? This is wonderful. I'm just going to try and check to see if there's a chat on here, because I have no idea if there is anything going on here. Oh, great. I'm using the YouTube's live button, YouTube live app. I don't know what it is doing. I'm going to have to go watch it. I'm on actually, I don't understand why. I mean, the cell towers, I can practically see them from where I'm at. But for some reason, this one spot where the bees are at, the signal is dead. So it's going to skip in and out. I'm probably going to be wishing I never did it. I've done lives before and regretted because the quality is horrible. I wish I could get my Wi-Fi out here, but for some reason, it's only 50 feet away, and for some reason, the Wi-Fi doesn't want to come here. I don't know. Maybe the bees scared away. So I may stop this live to go and play the video back and see what it's doing. In fact, there is nobody in here at the moment, so I think that's what it's like. Oh, nope, now there's two people in here. So after these two people get out of the live, I'll end the chat and go look to see whether this thing is skip-a-doo or not. But what I would like to, oh, there they are, they're gone. All right, so I'm going to end this live. If I can get it to stop. Start questions. Start questions. There he goes. Start questions and answers. Wonderful. Okay, so there is a question and answers. It says hi. All right. Maybe it does have a question and answers in here. What I would like to do is go into the hive and see how they are doing at this colder weather. This is a colony that is quite small. This is one that was not getting out there in the weather, and so I moved them down. Now, you're not supposed to go in a colony at night, and you're not supposed to go in there when it's under 50 degrees because you can hurt the brood. But for educational purposes, I want to show you what I'm seeing at night here, whether the cluster is doing good or not. Now, heads up that this is not supposed to be done, okay? But this is for educational purposes and so you can see what they're doing. Now, I have a total of 13 colonies, and currently all 13 are still alive. I think I had around 25 before I went into winter. I had a lot of splits that were not doing so well because we had a lot of drought and they were dying off. So the experiment was to leave those at least 10 of these colonies fend for themselves and see if they could make it through the summer months and do something. But it proved that the bees need something besides just nature in my area. I guess the forage with the drought and all that stuff was not good enough, and they just dwindled till eventually they died off. Now, I did save, I think, 2 of the colonies from that cluster, and they brought them over here to this yard, and I started feeding them last month or so, trying to get them through winter, and I think they're all dead. I'm not sure if I have one maybe that might survive. But that's what I've been fighting with, is now I've been feeding all of my colonies steadily to try and supplement them to keep them alive. So this year, my philosophy is going to be to feed the bees, forget whether the honey is going to be contaminated with sugar, but at any moment that I can, feed the bees. I might see something where they're bringing it in, maybe stop for a moment and maybe try and capture some pure honey that's not all adulterated by sugar water. But that's going to be the strategy this year, is just to feed the heck out of them and see if they do any better than anything before has ever happened. So anyway, this colony is quite small. Like I said, there is room for growth. They have the feeder right on top of the frames. And like I said, you're not supposed to do this because it's at night, for one thing. They like to come out after the light and zap you. For some reason, they smell your breath, the carbon monoxide, and they go right for your face and right behind your glasses. It's very dangerous. And the other thing is it's cold out. So it's not 50 degrees, it's below 50. So you're not supposed to go in a hive. So this is not recommended at all. But like I said, for educational purposes, I'm going to kind of see what these dudes are doing tonight. I want to see if they're up into the sugar water at night when it's colder, or are they so small they can't get up there. Now, during the winter months, out of the 13 colonies, I had 12 of them with lights, LED lights and incandescent lights. The LED lights have like 1/10 of the heat the LED lights had. They have, if you put them in a little tight ball, they do create a little bit of warmth. You can feel just a tad. It keeps the chill off. Now, the incandescents, they get hot to the point where some of them actually melted the wires. So it's not recommended to do this either. But for experimental purposes, I tried it. It has no temperature control. What I did is when it gets to be about 40 degrees at night or during the daytime, I would shut them off, and so they wouldn't burn up the lights and they wouldn't burn up the bees. And like I said last week, when I took all the fondant off, I disconnected all the lights, and there's no more lights in the hive. I did not see any difference with the 13 hives. There's 12 that had lights and one that didn't have lights. They all seemed to do the same kind of growth. They seemed to do the same activity. Um, they may have not attacked me as quickly when I opened up the box because they already had lights. So when you opened up the box, they were kind of already used to it. But once they realized that it wasn't just a change in real light compared to the LED lights or the incandescent lights, they did come after you, even with that whole thing. So they still came after you, trying to open this up. Let's see what happens, whether they come jumping out or not, and let's give you a shot here. I don't know if you see that or not. I'm going to switch your camera around for a moment. Bear with me. See if we can get you in there a little closer. Bring it down a little closer in here so you can see them. They're starting to move around a little bit. It's a green light. I don't know if they're less affected than that. It's kind of like the red light. If it doesn't activate them as quickly, but we'll give it a shot, see what they do. I am prepared to run though. All right, so we got a colony here of bees. All right, see them? Now I will say they are up here. Look at that. They are up here in the water. They come in this water, and you can see that they are down in here and they're drowning. There's actually some that are moving around. Like, for example, here's one. Let's see if we can save it. This poor little guy, or gal, I guess you'd say, because the guys are all dead. They're drones. Let's see if we can get her before she stops moving. See if she has enough energy to walk on my finger. There you go. There she went. See the poor bee? Barely see her. She's moving around. You can see there's not much in her stomach. You can see right through her, almost see-through. I don't know if you can see her abdomen there, but she's soaking wet. And she's probably going to die because she was so drowned in that sugar water. See if she'll sit on there. That's the problem with this. Now, I will say that in this little cup here, I have a little notch. I don't know if you can see this little notch here, but that's because down in the bottom here, there's a little dimple, and it pushes this cup up off the bottom of the box. And the bees will get under here when there's not much sugar left, and then they'll drown. And that's what happened to this. This feeder got empty, and the bees got out, and they started drowning in this sugar water. So I do not like these feeders when they get empty, because then you have all these bees that are dead. And we're trying to grow bees. The last thing you want is a bunch of these dead bees. I don't know if you see them all. It's terrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop out some of these dead bees and see if we can add some sugar water in here so that they don't keep drowning. Now what I did is I took the lid off of this, hoping that the bees would be able to walk around in here and be fine. But as you can see, let me see if I get some more light in here. I've got some orange. Does that help you see any better? So I'm hoping that they would be able to walk around here and not get drowned. But with the cover off, as you saw right there, there are still bees getting stuck in this sugar water. Now this water is not that thick and sticky. It's very light. It's less than 1 to 1. It's probably 4 parts water to 1 part sugar. So it's a hint of water. I mean, hints of sugar. But still, when a bee gets wet, they don't stand up very well and they fall over and they drown. So what I think I'm going to try and do is put some more water in here with the sugar, and hopefully if I have it full enough, I'll stop losing all my bees, because this is about all the bees I have. There's not many bees in this colony. Can't look, see, there's one right there. I put my finger on it. See, we can try and save it from drowning. You can't even walk up the plastic. See that? Can't even walk up the plastic. It's so slippery for her. There, we saved the bee. Yep, another one fell in. So now what we'll do is we'll get that funnel here, this little cup here, stick it on the top here. Now I don't see if you can see this, but on this little box here, there's a little spot right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. That little spot, I put this little part that I cut out over toward there to try and keep them from coming out. So I'm gonna go get some sugar water before they all come out and get drowned. Alright, let's see if we can add this. There's already about 6 of them already in there, but they're going to float. Bring that all the way up to the top there. That should give me several days before they start drowning again. We'll see. Now we've got a bunch of them in here. I don't know if you can see it. They're floating around in the water. Ready to drown. You can try and pick these up by letting them crawl on you, but with this many, I'm going to use a leaf here, because the more chances of getting stung. I don't want that. So now we're going to save all these. Most of these are dead already, but can't really tell if they're dead or not because they're just slightly moving, like this one here. Now you can see it. It's slightly moving. It might have a chance. Don't know. So we'll try and save as many as we can. There we go. Now we're going to put this lid on here. That way the bees can't get into that water and drown, theoretically. And that should save them. Alright, so that's what this colony looks like. And you can see over here, on this side, right here, that's fondant, and they're in there, they're eating it. Alrighty. So that's your bees. That's what they were doing on this colony. I did wake them up. They didn't fly out past the lights. So let's put the cover back on. Let them go back to bed. See if any of you guys have any comments or questions. Doesn't look like there's any questions or comments. So, question is, are they all like that? I'm going to say probably. We can go inside the colony, but like I said, it's cold out. So the more I open it up, the more heat is lost. And like I said, these are small colonies, so it gives more chances that they're going to lose brood. But I do have some observation hives. They're 10 frame deep hive boxes that you can actually see the bees without opening the boxes. So let's take a look real quick and see if we can find one of them in here and see if they're any way different in activity. This one that I'm going to open up is maybe 3-4 frames of bees, so it's a little more in size. So actually, it might have gotten smaller. I forget. We'll have to take a look. Let me just move you around. Don't mind all the lights in the background. Alrighty, so this is an observation hive. Like I said, it has glass, so we can see inside here. So let's take a look. First, get some more of these lights out. Let's see if any of these lights still work. Got so many lights out here that I didn't even put away. Nope. See, these are LED lights, and the LED lights, for some reason, they're made with wires that are made from steel. They're not copper, and they rust very quickly, and sometimes you don't even get a season out of them. Like this one, it's only half lit. So that's what I run into all the time with these things. So I've given up on them. I've gone with nodes. There's a different type of lights that they're more waterproof. So let's take a look at this colony. See if I can bring you a little bit closer. See if you can see inside here. Looks like I gotta raise you up a little bit. Apparently this box is a little taller. So on a stand, it's about 18 inches high. There we go. So we'll put the lights right up here behind the camera so if you can see anything like that. We'll take off this cover. Now this has got 2-inch insulation on this colony. Let's bring in a little closer here. Actually, to tell you the truth, there's actually a light already in here. Let's plug it in. Nope, that's not the light. Here's the light. There. So this one had incandescent lights on it during the winter months. As you can see there. Now the incandescent lights did make it hotter, so I had to worry about winter months when it got to be 40s outside and 50s. It got so hot that these wires were almost melted. So this is the colony at night. Now this has a screen here. So the screen keeps the bees from coming out and stinging you. It also has an eye wave. I don't know if anybody's seen an eye wave before. But this is an electrical box. It creates negative ions. And it has a strip on the side here. Right on this side over here. This strip has negative and positive brushes on it. It's designed for being inside of a mini split air conditioner. So these little brushes, every other brush is a different polarity. And these brushes send the negative ions to the air. And at night, if you plug this in, you can actually see little sparks with the electricity going through your finger. But it's so small, it's very hard to film it on camera. You have to be right up on it. And you have to play with the settings on your camera to get or even be able to view it. But you can feel it. So let's see if we can move these lights over just a hair. And so you can see, let's see, how about this side? Bees. Now, as you might see in here, there is only so many frames. Like on this side, oh, you can't see over there. Let's see if we can bring it over. On this side right here, there's frames missing. I figured this winter, rather than putting separator boards and stuff to try and keep them away, or filling it with pillows, I just took the frames out. And then on this side is where the colony is, and we have fondant in here. You can see the little circle around it. They're still eating it. We've got fondant on this side. They're eating it. So let's take a look. I'm going to leave these lights on after I take off this outer insulation. It's 2-inch insulation that I'm going to take off here. This keeps the colony supposedly warmer, but in my opinion, it doesn't do anything if they're so small, because they don't have much heat to be lost in the first place. And I'll put these lights back in here. And what that'll do is show a little bit light down through the frames, so maybe you can see them. I'm going to try and get you down closer so you can see inside of this colony through the glass. Got to remove it from the stand. Alright. So now we have the colony. That's the side here. You can't see much. I'm going to try and put this light right behind on the other side. Let's see here. Move all this wires around. Got a whole mess of wires here. Got a mess everywhere. Let's see, I can't figure this out. It's this one here. It's this way. Alright, so we've got 2 sets of 100 lights here. I'm going to take these. I'm going to put these behind on the other side and see if you can see through the boxes and see them on the other side. Alright. I don't know if you can see anything at all. I'm going to try and flip this around and maybe you can see from the other side. Can we switch this? There we go. Alright, so now we can see through the boxes. And we can see in between the frames. We can see a little bit of something moving in there. Once in a while, there's a little bit of something going on. The problem with this too is that the glass is sometimes where the camera focuses. And it doesn't focus on the bees, which are way deeper in the colony there. Now you can see that there's nothing near the bottom. They are way up the top. So I'm going to say they are at the top 1/3 of the box. And this is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About the 5th frame over. So they're in the center 3 frames. It's one of the frames. This one you can barely see in between because there we go. There's too many bees in the way up toward the top. So it's all dark at the top there. And this is the one right before the outside. And you can see that there's not many there. So they're in these, on this one, this one, this one, this one. These three frames they're at. Right here. Not here. Well, not here, not here. And you can see the outside. There's nobody. Whoop, no, there's somebody. Somebody walking around. Somebody's outside the box. There's another one. Alright, there's a couple. Oh, here comes another one. It may be because of the light. Up here's another one. And the light might be bringing them to the outside boxes. Now, on this side, you can see that there's no No frames, and this is where all the dead bees have been hanging out, and they haven't cleaned them out. And you can see on here, there's some dead brood. This is from a dead out that I had. I brought them inside and I tried to make them live, but they didn't. And you can actually see up here in the top, there are some dead bees that have not been cleaned out yet, if this camera will focus. See if we focus it out here and then bring it in. Maybe it'll focus. We have to focus behind the glass. It doesn't like to do that. It's probably a better angle from this side. There you go, right there. You can see some of the dead bees. They were in a tight cluster and they were in a torpor and they just kind of like hung out and died. So they have not been cleaned out, nor has all this other stuff. And this is on screen at the bottom, so all the junk falls down through. And there is a little thing that you can pull out. See all their junk on the bottom board. You can actually see some of the sugar has fallen through. It's like fondant. And you can see where they're feasting. I'm not sure if that's a dead wax moth, but you can see all kinds of junk in there. This is all winter. This has been all building up. So that's what your colony looks like in the winter, right before St. Patrick's Day. Now theoretically, I should be able to leave these lights on until tomorrow, because like I said, it hasn't been getting warm, but I'm not going to be bothered with them anymore. So now I'm going to put you back on the stand so I can put this cover back on. So it's got two inch insulation on here. I think the insulation doesn't do much of anything. It's got an insulated lid, 2-inch insulation. There you go. It's even got a bottom board. It's insulated all around the 3/4 inch frame. But like I said, the screen bottom is the only thing that's not insulated. So that's very interesting. If you have any comments, leave them in the chat here. Hey Tubby, thanks for coming in. Oh, you know, there was a chat here in the bottom. I didn't even see that. Hi Tubby. I don't know how to scroll it. I guess one person left the chat. Thank you for coming on in here. I got one more colony I'm going to show you that has the glass box, but this may be a little more challenging because I don't have the cords long enough to get over there. Let's see if we can get the cords long enough to get over to there. I'm going to quick switch cords around, and I'm going to bring you over to this other colony. Let's see if we can switch the camera around. There we go. So now what we're going to do is going to rearrange some of the wires here on the ground and try and get you ready to go over to this other colony. Now this colony on the other side is similar. It's a glass hive also, so we can take a look at it. They've also had the lights. They've also had the fondant. Whoops, there goes all my lights. So we're going to take a look and see how they are doing tonight. Gotta make these extension cords a little longer so we can get over there. Plug in all this light so you can see at night. Oops, got the wrong end for some reason. There we go. Let's take a walk over to the other side. Got my pile of lights. I got my cord. Let's go for a walk. See how much we get entangled over here. I got a couple colonies out here. They got lights on them for the St. Patrick's Day season here. try and sneak in between this one here. Get all these cords through here. There we go. All right. Now we're going to off here to the wilderness where this other colony is at. Woo! You can see it back there, then, can't you? That's it. Now this colony is a little different. I'm gonna flip you around again so I can get your tripod to move. Bring in a little closer. Let's see, how can we do this? Bear with me for a moment. There we go. There, now we can get you at the right angle. So now this colony does not have the insulation on it. This is just a wood box. It does have a bubble wrap insulation on the outside. And I will tell you, from being in the air conditioning and heating air industry, that if you don't have the insulation sealed at the tops and the bottoms, the air just goes up in through here and out the top, and you can just forget the insulation is even there. It doesn't do a thing. It's useless. And so what this insulation is for is basically to keep the sunlight off the hive colony during the daytime and maybe make it a little darker for them. This roof kind of shelters the sun coming directly in there. Some light does get in, but that's the idea. So let's take a look. This has got Velcro on it, so we can take a look in there without a lot of effort. And as you can see, this colony is the same way. There's nobody here. It's empty at all, as all. Now, let's get you a little closer. Let's take a little observation. Okay, this is the side of the colony. And oh, look at that. Now that is interesting. You see that? That looks like newer comb. I am not sure if that is new comb that I just put in here. I don't think so. It is whiter. Whiter comb. I'm not sure if that's new or not, but that's interesting. Let's go look at the other side. I'm going to say that might be newer comb because they had the same effect on this side. I'm not sure. No, it's up against the end of the box here, so there's no way they could reach that. So I'm going to say that's just older combs that I put in there that happen to be newer wax. So as you can see, there's not much here to be seen. I'm going to try putting the light on the back side again and see if you can see through these frames. I'm going to flip your camera around so I can see what you're seeing. Here we go. Flip this camera around. Flip. All right, so now I can see what you're seeing and try and focus this thing on the other side. Let's see if we can see through the frames. Anything in here? No light at all. That's weird. How about this one? Wow. Are you saying there's that many bees in here? Yes. There is that many bees in there. All right, so I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit of light at the very bottom of the frame. So this frame is almost filled from the top to the bottom with bees. And that's the second one in. Oh man, can you see that? Barely can see the light. Yep, see it? So this frame is almost 100, like 80% covered with bees. I wish this would focus on the bees and not the glass. Oh, that's impressive. So this colony is bigger than the other one, and it has no insulation. So is that an indication that the insulation is holding back the bees? Or is it just because the queen is weaker? Look at that. That is almost to the very bottom. Let's see the next one over. Whoa, can't see through that one either. Whoa, this colony's getting bigger. And there we go. This one is maybe 60%. Wow. Stay still and see if they're moving. Well, that is impressive. Well, that is impressive. Let me put you back in your little holder here. There you go. There you go. Back on here. Take a look at back on here. Take a look at the top. This is held on by Velcro, so that makes it very easy to take off and put on. And strip. There you go. Got a little ratchet we're going to take off the top here. It keeps the wind from blowing the cover off. Like I said, this colony has also had Christmas lights in there during the winter months. They don't have them anymore, so they haven't had them for about 2 weeks. Let's see how they are doing in there at night. Can we see any more activity? All right. Let's see if we can see down in there. Can you see that? That's a dollar store homemade feeder made with 2 plastic cups and a plastic tray. So that would be $3. $3 for a hive feeder. And see if they're up in the middle here. Nope. I don't see nobody up in there. They don't really care about this stuff. Let's get the sugar feeder out of here. And so maybe we can see the bees. All right, let's take this off. We're going to slide this little cover over the door here so they don't come flying out. Let's get this out of the way. All right, see, there's the cover. Cover that little hole. Move to the one side so you can see the most you can see. I don't know if you can see this or not, but there are some bees. Let's camera low. Dropping it. There are some bees right down in there. Let's get you a different angle here. That's it. They are feeding on the fondant. Right there. That is a mess of bees. Right all around that edge there. Feeding on that fondant. Actually, let's take this whole box off. Maybe that's in the way. There we go. Can we see them here? I'm going to flip the camera around again. So now, this is at night. So if anybody has a question about do bees sleep at night, I would say no. They do not sleep at night because they are on that fondant. They are eating that. You can see it all in there. Let's zoom back out a little bit. That's homemade fondant, just sugar water and a little bit of vinegar to try and help it process it. And here's some more fondant. Right here, this is a different kind. This has honey in it. So sugar water, fondant, and then some honey mix. So they're feeding on that. And let's take a look on this side. We have some things left over from Easter. Let's move this over this side. Can you see that? Those are marshmallows from Easter. Little peeps. Yep, they're eating them. And over here we have some bread flour. And I don't see anybody in the bread flour. But I see them on the peeps. I really can't see the bottom of the honey fondant. So I really can't tell what they're doing on that. But that is what the bees are doing here at night. I'll flip you around again. Let's see if we can put this back together. Alrighty. So now the process of putting this back together, we've got our feeder. Put that back on the top here. Water.